Huh. Can you hear me now? Okay, sometimes you have to dial in with the audio, and the number is 8580. Code H2835. Challenges. Mute. No. Let's try the headset. I was trying to just play music at the beginning, but I don't think you could hear it. Okay, can you hear me now? I have my headset on. I guess if you could have heard me, you would have said something. Just waiting until participant. Greetings.
Greetings.
Hey, I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it's like this, but that's the way it is.
Good.
Are you still able to see the screen?
Nope.
Slideshow?
No.
Nope. So are you on your smartphone?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there's supposed to be a way you can have the app on your phone. Is that what you had before? Or just the website? Just went to the website?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay, could you try to, this might take a few minutes, but right now if anybody else is coming, they'll be late. So could you try downloading the app on your smartphone if you want to see the slideshow, or you're okay with just listening for now?
I'm okay with listening for now.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't called technical support yet to find out why this happened. So, alrighty then. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and run the slideshow for people who might check it out later.
Okay.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
Okay, you're welcome. I'm so very grateful for being here.
Okay. Well, you'll be able to, I'll post the slide share, which is just the slides, and then I also post the whole video replay if you want to see this, the video, the audio. I mean, the slides, yeah. It is video. Okay. All right, then.
Okay.
And if you have any questions, just, you can just speak out, or you can hold them till the end. It's okay.
Okay.
All right. So the first slide, of course, is the the little video for the series, Use Sound to Eliminate Obstacles, Open the Way to Freedom. And it's a couple of birds that have just been released from a cage. And that, of course, reminds me of the poem by Maya Angelou, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. So this series is about using sound to help us eliminate obstacles that have, plagued our nation for several generations. So this is a presentation by KemeTones, Cosmic Sound Healing, Healing Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome with KemeTones. And tonight we're going to be discussing Sankofa step number 1, truthfulness. Now, KemeTones is a sound healing system that uses tuning forks, acutonics tuning forks that are tuned to the different planetary frequencies. And it is similar to acupuncture, only we use sound instead of needles. And at KemeTones, we take the acutonics practice back a little bit further, where we incorporate the Kemetic archetypes and planetary correspondences, in other words, the Neteru, and also the Orisha and other archetypes from other indigenous cultures. So KemeTones is a cosmic sound healing because each one of these ancestors or planetary forces is a cosmic force. Just like we have magnetism and electricity and gravity, we also have the cosmic forces of Ma'at and Heteru and Asar. And so KemeTones is a cosmic sound healing. This series on healing post-traumatic slave syndrome with sound is based on the work of Dr. Joy DeGruy, the author of Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome, America's Legacy of Embracing Injury, Enduring Injury and Healing. And we're going to be using the study guide from her work, where she has outlined a system of healing post-traumatic slave syndrome. She has 10 steps called the Sankofa steps. And so in this webinar series, we are looking at KemeTones applications. Now, every KemeTones healing session begins with an astrological analysis of the day or of the person's birth. And this is brought to us by horoscopes, which is based on the 13-month astrology system, which is also Kemetic in nature because we use the system, astrology system, and correspondences from Kemet and even ancient Egypt. Some of this is from when the Greeks had started to occupy Kemet. So it's Kemetic and Egyptian. So tonight's chart is for April 5th, and looking at the chart here, and the first thing I noticed right away is that there are 5 planets in the sign of PTSS, or Pisces. I forgot to say about horoscopes, it's based on the 13-month sidereal astrology system, and the 13th constellation is called Theicus. This system is the true system based on the actual motion of the sun and the planets through the constellations, as opposed to the Western system, which is based on a division of the orbit of the Earth around the sun. So in this system of horoscopes, as I said before, we have 5 planets that are in PTSS, or in the sign of Pisces, and no planets are in Earth signs. So what that tells me right away is that tonight we need grounding. And secondly, Pisces deals with emotions and experiences, like past life experiences. And so with all these planets in Pisces, the sun and the moon, because we're in the new moon phase, we need a container to hold our emotions. We need a system to help us keep our emotions together. And unfortunately, we're not going to get that support from the cosmos tonight because, as I said before, we have no signs we have no planets in the Earth sign. So tonight's self-care session is going to be dealing with grounding. And if you have any questions at any time, just interrupt me. My keyboard is kind of sticky right now. There we go. Okay. So tonight we're going to be going over Sankofa step number 1, truthfulness. Now Sankofa is a concept or an idea or a movement. And the idea or the quote here is, go back to fetch it. The symbol of the wisdom learning from the past to build for the future. So that means that we go back into our history, into our roots, and learn all that we can from the past to build a bright future. This will also have to include a lot of healing and a lot of letting go of things that we picked up or inherited from slavery times. So in this system, we're going to be when you have a client or when you're doing self-care, you're going to be examining the story that we keep telling ourselves over and over again about our history and our slavery times. And we're going to learn how to reframe it, how to change our thoughts, how to change our perception, and how to change our reality by using the tones from the tuning forks and our voices and our chanting and singing. That's the idea. This is a brand new system. It's never been tried before in this way, and it's really an experiment for me. I've been working on myself, and I have seen some, shifts, and I'm going to be working on my clients. And I'm also inviting people to work on themselves with their self-care practice, with their families, with their nation, with their communities, and with their clients as well. So that's the idea behind this series. So if we're talking about truthfulness, well, the first thing we're going to come to terms with is Ma'at, the cosmic force of Ma'at. Ma'at is the cosmic force, the goddess, the Neteru of balance, truth, order, harmony, justice, righteousness, reciprocity. See, did I leave one out? Balance, truth, order, harmony, justice, righteousness, reciprocity. No, it's 7. I'm hearing some feedback, so I don't know. Can you mute yourself, and then if you have a question, just unmute yourself?
Okay.
Okay, great. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so balance, truth, order, harmony, justice, righteousness, and reciprocity. In fact, let me sing one of my songs that I have about the principles of Ma'at, because we want to invoke Ma'at in this session. We're going to have some chanting later on, but this is the song because I have here in the slide, Aset Ma'at. And Aset is the goddess seated on her throne. So the idea is we don't let anything shake us from our inner throne. Ma'at was the first thing put into place when Ra created creation. Ma'at exists in our world to ensure there's balance, truth, order, harmony, justice, righteousness, and reciprocity. And we're living in a time now where we have moved away from Ma'at. And the goal is to restore Ma'at. And in order to do this type of work, we have to be serious about it, Sirius, which means devoted to the divine, devoted to the goddess, devoted to ourselves and our purpose. And when I first started this journey, I wasn't sure if I was serious enough. I really thought it was a huge undertaking. So I'm going to sing this song I wrote called Asma'at, Are You Serious Enough? Are you serious enough? Are you serious enough? I shall come as a feather and is balanced against your heart. Before you enter the gates of Zion, you must be free from evil. Moving towards balance, standing in truth, establishing order with harmony. Brings forth justice, reciprocity, and righteousness. That's it. Yes. We're going to invoke Ma'at, and we're going to awaken these cosmic forces within ourselves and our families and communities and restore Ma'at to the land. In the Material tradition, there are these 42 ideals of Ma'at, 42 laws of Ma'at. And in their daily practice, certain levels of your practice, levels of initiation, you recite these 42 ideals twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. And sometimes it's called the 42 negative confessions, because this is a more contemporary version here in the slideshow. But in the morning you say, I will not lie, for example. And in the evening you say, I have not lied. And so it's a way to hold yourself accountable. Imagine if everyone in the planet, or everyone in our nation or our society, or even just our community, our families, if we all got in tune with this practice of the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at. So when you're thinking of doing your self-care practice with dealing with post-traumatic slave syndrome, this is one practice you can add to your healing toolkit. You know, if you feel like you are out of alignment, then there's something in your life or in your thoughts or your habits that's out of alignment. And so you can go down the list and see, you know, where you are, where it's out of alignment or where it's not happening. For instance, one of the principles, and like I say, this is a more contemporary version, but I know in one of the ones I know there's a principle that says, I'm paraphrasing it, but I won't let anything cause me to sulk, be sullen, or depressed. You know, and that's one of the ones I have the most trouble with, because from time to time, things in the material world get me kind of down. And I just have to remember that you have to remain seated on my inner throne in my state of abiding happiness and spiritual awareness, and to just maintain Ma'at at all times. So there's several versions of the 42 laws of Ma'at. This one is the 42 ideals of Ma'at. There's lots of other ones. So sometimes, though, being truthful with ourselves or speaking the truth or standing for truth can cause pain, because the person that we're in conflict with, and it might be ourselves, doesn't want to let go, or is not able to hear the truth. That's another one of the principles. I will not close my ears to words of right or wrong, or to the words of truth. Sometimes that's what we do. And so Dr. Joy says that sometimes you have to lance that boil no matter how much it will hurt. It's like if you have this toxic boil or a tumor or a negative habit, it's just sitting there full of toxins, and we have to release the toxins. So lancing the boil, that could hurt. Or letting go of a negative or a toxic habit or a toxic thought, that can be very difficult. But when you think about where we are as a nation or people, we all have to step up to the challenge and make these changes. Some people are still just making changes in their diets, changing from a toxic, unhealthy diet that leads to lots of physical illnesses and diseases. And some people would rather die than stop eating that way. They'd rather go to the hospital and go to chemo and have surgery to have their organs removed, or they'd rather just stop eating altogether. They'd rather do that than lance the boil and change. Another quote by Dr. Joy: I think the boil is analogous to the toxic mental, emotional, and spiritual waste that accumulates in relationships and within families. Well, the first thing that came to my mind was the habit that families have gotten into since TV first came onto the scene in the 50s, of everyone just gathering around the television and watching their favorite shows. Now, I know when I was growing up, shows were still relatively entertaining, and singers were actually singing, and it was just different. But nowadays, watching television can be very traumatizing and misleading, and fills our minds with poison. And so I don't even have cable anymore, but I know some people that can't live without it. And I also think those kind of activities cause division in families. So they're no longer bringing families together, but those type of habits that maybe back in the day they seemed innocent enough, but today they're like a weapon of mass destruction. So we have to remove ourselves from those type of behaviors and activities and vibrations, and even that causes division in the family. But like she said before, you have to lance that boil no matter how much it can hurt. Sometimes we have to separate from our relatives and seek out our true families. And lastly, Dr. Joy's quote on lancing the boil: this is the boil that must be lanced if we are to heal from the damage that it has and continues to cause. So once we've made this type of made this step where we've lanced the boil from these toxic mental, emotional, spiritual waste and habits, sometimes we removed ourselves or distanced ourselves from our relatives. Then once we go through the healing and we regain our strength, then we can go back into the communities and set better examples. But there has to come a time where you have to separate completely to build up your spiritual energy and your strength. And that can hurt. That can definitely hurt. But if you can, once you get to the other side of the healing journey, it's going to feel great. It's just like another fast or cleanse where you're purging your intestines or your liver or your skin or whichever organ has been affected by environment or poor diet or television. Oops. Sorry about that. I'm pushing crazy buttons here. And it's not moving. Okay. Anyway, truthfulness, the first criteria for change. A lot of people have a lot of faith in the political system and the medical system and the educational system, the religious orders, or not orders, religious hypocrisies. And they have so much faith in these systems and institutions. And they don't realize that putting energy into those institutions is not going to bring about the change. The change that we need is going to come from outside of those institutions or the elimination of those systems. And so people have to be able to swallow that truth. There's really no other way to put it. That's pretty much it, in my opinion. I'm not the last word on anything, but you know, if you're let's see, if someone is throwing up, they have a fever and they're sick and they can't move, they can't walk, you know, giving them a bowl of soup is not the answer. They can't eat. It's not going to make them better right now. They need something completely different, probably something that they ate put them in that state in the first place. So you need to do something completely different. According to Dr. Joy, truthfulness has two components, honesty and accuracy. So it's not enough just to say the truth or to speak the truth. You have to have strategy. You have to have a goal or a focus. Otherwise, you're just spewing truth out, and not everybody is going to be able to understand it or listen. So, accuracy, that brings to mind KemeTones, because we're using the tuning forks which have pinpoint accuracy. So we're going to be learning how we can help people speak the truth and be honest with themselves, be honest about the situation, and we're going to be able to help them eliminate blocks with accuracy. Maybe we'll be able to support them so they can speak to the right people or to the right institution or the right organization, something like that. You know, we have to have a strategy with our truthfulness. Sometimes, what is it? You don't want to cast pearls before swine, or you don't want to try to explain quantum physics to a kindergartner. Well, that's not true. I think a kindergartner would understand quantum physics pretty good. So that's not a good example. Trying to explain to a kindergartner why there's war in the world. Now that would be very difficult, because kindergartners would not understand why people are trying to kill each other over stupid things. Anyway, I'm rambling. Also in Dr. DeGruyd's work, Chapter 1 is about race. And that's a tough one, because a lot of people have this response, and this is quoting her also: I don't even notice race. I have some white friends that tell me that they don't even think of me as black. And then anytime I talk about something having to do with black or blackness, they're completely shocked. Like that whole situation with Beyonce. It was a lot of people making jokes about how they didn't realize she was black. Of course, it's about race. Some people think the solution is to forget about race or to become all mixed in just one race. And that is not going to be the answer, because that's not dealing with the truthfulness of how the racism began or how it's being perpetuated. It's being perpetuated by people that are suffering from the illusion of privilege. And they have brainwashed the rest of the planet to believe that they have this privilege. So it's all based on an illusion. They're actually, the Caucasian race actually is feeling threatened and insecure, fear, and doubt. And so they need healing from post-traumatic slave syndrome just as much as people of color. All right, so a few questions Dr. Joy has that we all need to ask ourselves. How do you identify yourself and why? I've been on this journey for about 30 years now, and I realize that we all have to move beyond tribalism and separatism, anything that separates us. And nationalism even separates us. It's good to have order and organization so that we can, make sure everyone is accountable and accounted for, but not to the point where it will divide us. So after all these years, I'm a member of the human race, and I don't identify with any particular contemporary nation, even though my passport says I'm a U.S. citizen. The last indigenous tribal affiliation that is in my lineage is Cherokee or Chalagi and Saponi or Blackfoot, but I'm not recognized by those nations. I have been on a very powerful cultural and spiritual journey to my roots, and I acknowledge every step along the way of this journey. And right now I identify with Kemet, which means land of the black. And I know a lot of people say they don't like that because there's no place called black, but I beg to differ. I think every place, if you go to the indigenous name, you're going to find it has black in the title somewhere. Even Blackfoot Indians. Kemet, Nubia, Sudan, Kush, Ethiopia, Hindu, India, and more. Even more, Morocco. All these terms mean black, land of the black. And I've already explained why I identify myself, because that's the root. That's where the first humans came from. So I just go to the root. How does or did your parents or the people that have raised you identify themselves, and why? When Roots came out, I did that homework assignment where you do your family tree, trace your family tree, and I learned that I had Native American and African. And when I asked my grandmother on my maternal side, she said, there ain't no African or Indian us, we a slave. That's all we is slaves. And then my grandfather said, don't listen to her. Her great-grandmother was a full-blooded Cherokee, and her great-grandfather was a freed African who came over to fight in the Civil War to end slavery. My parents, we never talked about any of this. We never discussed any of these issues, but I always knew they were Negroes or African Americans or black. But we never talked about it. I raised my daughters as Black, Hebrew, Cherokee, and now one of them calls herself a Blaxican, a Black Mexican, and the other one does does not acknowledge her black roots or even her black mother. So there you go. We'll see what happens to her during her son's return. But race definitely has ripped my family apart. My older daughter and her dad have disinherited their African roots, and my younger daughter and myself fully embrace them. All right. Now we are at the program, part of the program where we're talking about KemeTones applications. Still can't move this thing. KemeTones applications. See if I can move it out this way. Close panel. Just a minute, I'm having a little technical challenge. Okay, that didn't work. Okay, KemeTones applications to truthfulness, remembering the principles of Ma'at. Removing blocks to the truth, expressing truth, as well as being open to truth. When we've been traumatized, especially women, we tend to close our womb. We don't open it up. The trauma gets trapped there, and it just stays there and festers and grows until it becomes cysts and tumors and fibroids and hemorrhages and all kind of things. And if we just, kept working on our wombs, keeping it open, pure and clear with meditation and herbs and just nurturing and self-care, because everything that happened to us is stored in our wombs. Everything happens to our mothers, our maternal grandmothers, great-grandmothers, all the way back. All of the trauma from slavery days is in our wombs. And we're the generation that's waking up to this truth and healing our wombs and releasing all of these toxins so that the future generations will still have to deal with the effects of slavery, but not like we are. Like we are still really feeling the effects. It's showing up in so many ways because in our root chakra, also we have trauma that's stored there, and that interferes with our sense of stability, security, financial freedom, all of these things. So these are energy blocks in our system. Now, the chakra that's connected to the womb chakra, the creativity chakra, is the throat chakra. So especially, like, for example, in my case, I was traumatized. I was raped 3 times over 30 years ago, and it took me 30 years to heal my womb enough so I could start to heal my womb enough so I could speak about it. So if it took me 30 years to talk about 3 instances of rape in my lifetime, we're talking about like 10 lifetimes of rape or abuse or oppression or racism, all these things. So if our womb chakra is blocked, then our throat chakra is blocked, and we can't really talk about it. So that's why this type of work is really important. So KemeTones applications would be the throat chakra, the first eye, and the womb chakra. We'd use the Anpu fork, which is for removing obstacles, toxins, blocks, the Nevet Het fork, or Neptune, for sacred space, order in the sacred space, for tapping into the more metaphysical sides, to be more receptive to receiving metaphysical healing and receiving intuitional messages. Shasheta, the goddess of of all the sciences, mathematics, astronomy, astrology, architecture, building. I use the energy, the cosmic force of Shisheta for building structure that I can use to contain, to create order. And Shisheta is associated with the new moon, and we're in the time of the new moon right now. And then, of course, we have the Ma'at Hekau. So at this time, I'm going to offer some chants to Ma'at. And turn on the visuals. There we go. And I'm going to take rattling. Okay, so anytime you are, well, let's see, I think I have the lyrics. Let's go to the lyrics first. Yeah, I think I have the lyrics. Yes, okay. So anytime you're doing your spiritual practice, or you need more order or organization, or some lack of justice, truth, the principles of Ma'at. We call it Ad Ma'at, lack of Ma'at, lack of righteousness. You can add these chants to your healing practice. The first one is Om Ma'ati Ma'akeru. I didn't put the lyric translations on here. I'll post them in the group. So the first one, Om Ma'ati Ma'akeru. Adorations to the divine goddess of truth of heaven and earth, above and below. Assist us in attaining spiritual enlightenment. When you see the term Ma'ati, M-A-A-T-I, that is referring to Aset and Nebuchadnezzar at the same time. They're identical twins, and Aset represents the Lady of Heaven, and Nebuchadnezzar represents the Lady of the house, the Lady of the earth. And I will save a discourse on that for another time. So you can do call and response with me there if you're listening on the recording, or if you're on the phone now, you can just do call and response. Om Ma'ati Ma'akeru. Om Ma'ati Ma'akeru. Om Ma'ati Ma'akeru. Om Ma'ati Ma'akeru. All right. So for the next time, I'm going to turn on the visual so you can. So it's not all just a recording, it's just all the talking. And I'll recite the translation at the end. So I'm using here the sistrum, which represents the top four chakras. This is the Jed pillar, when we have attained steadfastness. I can move this over. I'm having a lot of trouble with this mouse pad today. Okay, I'm just going to leave it. And then I have my little finger symbol. I really like playing them together. That's why I like showing you this so you can see how is she playing the system and the symbol. Ma san ku ma, ma nebu ten, ka hinama, ma kinama, ha kimama, ma san ku ma, ma nebu ten, ka hinama, Sankinama, Hasimama, Tuama Nebuten, Tuama Nebuten, Tuama Nebuten. Attack. Ma'at anku ma'at. Ma'at is the source of life. Ma'at nebuten. Ka hina ma'at. Okay. Ma'at nebuten. Ma'at is in everywhere you are. Ka hina ma'at. Live with ma'at. An kina ma'at. Yeah, excuse me, I got it mixed up. Let me start again. Ma'at anku ma'at. Ma'at is the source of life. Ma'at nebuten. Ma'at is in everywhere you are. Ka hina ma'at. Rise with ma'at. An hina ma'at. Live with ma'at. Ha sima ma'at. Join with ma'at. Let her guide your actions. Dua ma'at nebuten. Adoration to the goddess Ma'at, who is in everywhere you are. Okay. So now I wanted to go over. Oh, man. I wanted to go over the. Oh, there we go. The web page that is devoted to healing post-traumatic slave syndrome with sound. And you can find this at newday.tchiya.com/PTSS.KemeTones. KemeTones. Some people call it KemeTones, some people call it KemeTones. And this is the page that was created shortly after the very first KemeTones Level 1 certification training, where we had a brief discussion on some of the applications. And I'm going to be adding to this body of work as we go through the webinar series. So for today, Sankofa step number 1. Let's see, where was that? Going too fast. Okay, yeah, so these are the meridian charts that you'll be using, and the extraordinary vessels. So far we're going to be working with Yin Wei, Chong, and Yan Wei. And for tonight, Sankofa step number 1 for truthfulness, we have here to use Ren 22 for clearing anger and from living someone else's truth or their lies. So Ren 22. Oops. And this button is not working today. There we go. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to where the tuning forks are. My broadcasting laptop unit over here. I'm going to demonstrate some of these techniques for self-care. Also keeping in mind the astrology, the horoscopes reading for today. So Ren, that is also one of the extraordinary vessels. So it all ties together. Okay. All right. So let me turn on the, let me just make sure there's nothing else I need to cover while we go. Oh, yes, I had another chance. Okay. We'll use that, and then we'll go into the, okay. Yes, the other chant I like to use for Ma'at, dealing with Ma'at, is O Ma'at Geb. May Ma'at be restored upon the earth. And you've seen the artwork of Nut and Geb, where Geb is laying on the ground. He represents the earth. And Nut is in an arch above him. She represents the Milky Way and the stars and the galaxies and the night sky. And then the god Shu has raised her up to separate the earth from the heavens. And whenever you see Geb covered by feathers, that to me, I interpret that to mean that Ma'at is restored on the earth. There's balance on the earth. So, so I'll just have you meditate on this image while we do the chant. And again, it's call and response. Om Ma'at Geb. Om Ma'at Geb. Om Ma'at Geb. Om Ma'at Geb. Ashe. Yes, indeed. That chant, oh my goodness. In 2014, when I had the experience at Reggae on the River where some creep walked into my sound healing booth and molested me, I was really traumatized, and I just sat in my pyramid here for days just chanting that. It just came to me. And it's so powerful once you just really get into it and get loud, and you hear the reverberations and the resonance in the space. It's just a very powerful experience. And you know, when we're constantly bombarded with negative messages from the news and all these killings and things going on, you know, it's just something really helpful for me to just come in here in the pyramid. I don't know if you can see it. There's this, yeah, there's the ceiling of the pyramid, and I just do the things I'm sharing with you right now. This is what I do. This is my self-care practice, and then also you can apply it to helping others. Okay, so tonight's episode, I'm looking at the clock, is on truthfulness and dealing with Ma'at. And We talked about the womb chakra, the root chakra, the heart chakra, the throat chakra, and the first eye chakra. I mean, you can do all the chakras, basically. But the idea is we're dealing with truthfulness, so that has to do with our womb experiences and being able to speak the truth, being able to hear the truth, being able to, take in the truth in the heart and not take it personal, those type of things. And then the Ren meridian and the Ren extraordinary vessel. So I'm just going to do a little bit on myself with that. And I'm going to be referring to the web page as well. I've had a lot of trouble with these buttons today. Okay. So we're going to do this for a few minutes and then have guided meditation at the end if this doesn't take too long. It's really just to give you a demonstration. This is a, what is that? Crazy things are happening in the background. I don't know what's going on. Hope you all are still there. Let me just make sure it's still on. Yeah, it's still on. Okay. Okay. Yes, I see the green light. I'm just going to trust it's still on. Okay. So this is a activator. It's a piece of rubber. I'm not hitting my leg or the table with the tuning fork. Okay. You always start with the Om forks for grounding. So I'm just going to put them on my ankles. You can put them on your ankle bones or on the sole of your feet, fishing sprain. But when you're working on yourself. Okay. So right now I'm just putting them on my ankle bones. The grounding. Yeah, the liver. What is that song Bob Marley? The truth is an offense, but not a sin, something like that. Yeah, you have to have a lot of courage to walk the truth path, the path of truthfulness. You have to have the truth to express the truth. You have to have the courage to express the truth, and then the courage to face whatever comes back at you. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to start on my womb chakra, where trauma is stored. You can create blocks to expressing my truth. And what was it? Honesty and accuracy. So that's why Acutonics and KemeTones will work really well for this, because we can use accuracy where we're placing the tones to release the blocks in the heart chakra. So you can see my beautiful ankh that I got in Jamaica. You already know what I look like. Haha. And then the womb to the heart. This is very similar to the three treasures, but it's the intention is different. It's all about setting the intention. And remember, tonight we're focusing on the abundance of emotions flowing, and we want to be able to contain it. We need the grounding to provide a container. Like Aset is the wisdom, and Nebuchadnezzar, their glyphs are in reverse. Aset headdress is a throne, and Nebuchadnezzar is the throne inverted to be a vase to contain the water, to contain the wisdom. So that's why the dual Ma'ati goddesses is Aset and Nebuchadnezzar. Okay, so first of all, I want to release blocks to being truthful, expressing truth. So, Nebuchadnezzar over here. Okay. So some of these tuning forks are in the level 1 certification, and then, I have the ones, the other planetary ones. So And if you have the self-care kit, I can show you what forks to use for which modality or which chakra or whatever. But anyway, okay. So I have the Zodiac or the Anpu fork for removing blocks and toxins, and the Shasheta or the New Moon fork for opening things. Also, the Moon deals with our personality, so we want to build a strong personality, a strong character that has the strength and courage to express truth. Okay. And then my womb chakra to release any blocks I have that may have come from my ancestors or I don't have any more elders. They're all ancestors now. Oh. Well, in my lineage, I have some relatives. Not so much. And then the heart chakra. I have the giant forks right now. And whenever I'm working on my heart, I also go to the grief points, the lung points. And as I always say, even if you don't have 20 forks, you can do acupressure. You could do crystals, magnets, whatever your modality is. It's about the meridians and the flow. And in the throat. You want to be able to express truth. We want to be able to not let anything remove us from our throne, our inner throne. And we have to be able to set boundaries and tell people to get the hell out, get out of our space. Like I had to the other day. I posted it on Facebook. One of my neighbors just decided he was ready to get friendly with me because now I guess he and his wife were divorced. And at first I thought it was nice, shaking my hand and saying there's no bad feelings, no hard feelings between him and me, even though his wife wanted to kill me a few years ago because my dog barked at her dog. But then the next time I saw him, he was like, wanted to give me a hug and telling me to come by his house anytime. And, I didn't really think much of it until after the situation was over, and then I went back to him. I saw him at the grocery store, and I said, look, I don't want you touching me. I don't want to shake your hand. I don't want to give you a hug, and I don't want to go over to your house and, just stay the hell away. It was awesome. Okay, so the next thing is you want to connect the womb chakra with your heart chakra. Connect your heart chakra with your throat chakra so that you're expressing truth. If your purpose is expressing truth, you want to be able to express your purpose. Live your purpose, which is truth. Okay? All right. So there was so much water. I had decided I was not even going to deal with the water tonight, just dealing with the grounding and building a container to hold our emotions. So that would be the earth, Ta'art, and Geb. Geb is Geb is the earth. Geb is also associated with Saturn. So this is a tone for Saturn. So I'm getting a combination of these three. But Saturn has to do with establishing boundaries and using them to our advantage. It's not always something that we need to be free of. Sometimes we need boundaries so that we can keep our sacred space sacred. So this next section is going to be about that. And if you study with me at KemeTones, when stuff is moving up the spiral, the energy is removing blocks and toxins, eliminating obstacles. And then when it spirals downward, it's creating, it's manifesting. So usually I use the weighted tuning forks to go up to remove blocks to the intentions, and then I use the high energy forks to go down to manifest, to create. But, sometimes I switch it around. See what time is it? Okay, a few more minutes. Okay, so we have Saturn or Geb and Ta'art. So right now I'm just removing obstacles so that I can create a safe space to contain my emotions. And to express my emotions. Because when we express ourselves, we want it to be coherent and clear. We don't want it just spilling all over the place. You know, I decided not to do too much with water and flow because my apartment building that I inherited in Chicago, the roof caved in, and there's enough water to deal with. So we're just going to deal with grounding. And then just to make sure we get a very sturdy container for our emotions, we have the earth, the Om fork, and the Gam. And then also just for opening up, we're going to open up our ears. Put the tuning forks right on the little flap of your ear. You don't put it in your ear, but just that little flap right there on the outside. You can really hear them now. Oh. And then also right behind the ear. That's another good spot to put the tuning forks so you can be open to hear the truth. And then also the first eye, pineal gland, crown chakra, quick little tune-up. And then we're going to move to the Ren extraordinary vessel. I have my handy chart. Ren is also known as the conception vessel. The downward directions are creating. And we'll go to our little chart and see which other ones did we choose to do for this work. Ren. We chose Yen Wei, Chong, and Yan Wei. So since Ren is conception, feminine, I'm going to go with the Yan Wei because Chong and the other ones are also feminine. So I'm going to do Ren and Yan Wei. Yang Wei. Okay. So this is the one where it's on the hands and the inner ankle bone. Like I say, you could just do acupressure if you don't have your tools with you. So you can't see what I'm doing, but I cross my legs. I put one ankle on my knee. I'm going to put one fork on the hand and one fork on the ankle bone. I'm just going to do one set. If you could. There we go. Yeah, you can see that. That's just what I do during my self-care. I just work on myself. That one. And then for creating a strong container for our emotions, the same thing with the earth fork. This is the Ren Mai Conception Vessel, Extraordinary Vessel. The extraordinary vessels, acupuncturists don't use them very much because the extraordinary vessels don't have an actual physical organ they're connected to. It's more just of an energy. And it's really useful in KemeTones and acupuncture. It's amazing. And then the Yan Wei. Just this one here. It's the one with the point on the back hand and the baby toe, on the baby toe. And so I'm going to do that on the other side. You do one pair of extraordinary vessels on one side, and then you switch and do the other pair on the other side. So this one is for dealing with anger. So I'll start off with these two again. Goes on the hand first, and then the baby toe. It's kind of challenging to do this on the camera, but I'm doing it. Do one more. Right, and then for the wounded healer, I'm going to use some sun and Chiron to like illuminate, to help us get some illumination on, you know, what's our next step, that kind of thing. I've never tried to do this on camera before. Alright, good. And now for the high energy force. Alright, clock. I'll leave it here now. Okay, so like I said, I use I'm going up. The intention is to remove blocks and toxins and obstacles, and when you're coming down, is to manifest your intention or your purest desire. And then you take it a step further, counterclockwise, going up is to remove or dissolution, and clockwise, coming down, is creation. Okay? I like to visualize like a pyramid of light, even though it sounds. And I do that. And also, when I do these exercises, I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for my family, my ancestors, you know, my community, my nation, the temple. I'm just the representative. We have Ta'ort and Geb or Saturn. I'm doing this work for all of you here on the webinar and people listening in later on. And to go out to the world and everyone during this crazy time with all these planets in Pisces. I didn't even realize until I was getting ready for this presentation. No wonder I was so emotional today. And I like to use this Nibiru and Chiron. Dr. Valentine says that Nibiru is the planet, the planet with the energy or the vibration or the wisdom that Black people need to activate their DNA. It's the planet that has a 3,600-year cycle, and it's passing through our solar system right now. And apparently, every time it's passed through our solar system, there's been all these, crazy disasters, like the flood and, stuff like that. So anyway, I think it's really good to use when dealing with post-traumatic slave syndrome. So here we actually move the blocks to the codes, accessing our DNA codes. And then here it's coming down to manifest what we need to restore Ma'at to the planet. So that's why we're here. All right. And then recently, just yesterday, a friend of mine, no, it's not a gift. I'm getting it on layaway or payment plan, but she brought over a crystal pyramid. Of course, I was so excited yesterday when I made that little video. The cell phone, jumped off of the tripod, and when I went to go save it from crashing onto the ground, I almost cracked the crystal pyramid. Anyway. Like a Merkaba, sound Merkaba. sitting in the pyramid. Very cool. All right. So we have a few more minutes here, and I wanted to close with a guided meditation. So before I do that, oh, looks like some more people have joined us. All right, so we've come to almost to the close of our presentation today. We're going to have a guided meditation in a few minutes, so please stick around. And I just wanted to go over some of the offerings from KemeTones right now, divine wellness offerings from KemeTones. I'm in the process of developing healing protocols for a variety of issues caused by trauma, assault, violence, rape, post-traumatic slave syndrome, etc., and chakra clearing, and also a set of protocols for people who feel disconnected from nature or from the divine. So we have one, Nupu Netaru, where we can help you identify with particular cosmic force. The Ma'at heart purification is kind of like what we did tonight. Post-traumatic slave syndrome, that's like a whole series of treatments where we're going to, each time you come in, we'll deal with a different Sankofa step. Womb wellness clearings and Uranus clearings. Now, Uranus clearings is kind of a play on words because when I had my womb wellness clearings in June last year, somebody brought up the fact that men get raped also. So that's why it's called Uranus clearing, Uranus clearing, haha. But anyway, then we have the Ritu or chakra alignment. Ancestral clearing. Sometimes we have like an ancestor's energy with us that's not helpful to us, and so we go through some steps to clear it. Sacred space. You can use the sound healing to clear your space. You can use sage, of course, and lavender water and different things, but you can also use sounds. And also, I'm getting ready to feature a devotional concert, which is like an acoustic concert with some of the chants I've been sharing in this series. And, when you come in for a sound healing session, I usually use my voice as well. And I encourage all of you to use your voice as instruments of healing. And then if you're interested in the devotional chants, I have a CD or a music collection available now at tchiya.bandcamp.com/releases. It's called The Blue Lotus Speaks Volume 1, Anpu, the Opening. And you can get it as digital downloads or hard copy. And you can listen for free for the first 2 or 3 times, and then you're asked to make an offering for the download. And if you decide to get the hard copy, then I'll just mail it to you. And I'm also excited to be introducing healing packages for people that are ready to get like 3 sessions at a time, or 5 or 7, or combine it with Haduscope charts, or just whatever combinations of my services you're ready for. So these are now available, and I'll be sharing more information with them soon. All right. So before we have the meditation, are there any questions? I see some of you might have come on while I was talking. I didn't have the chat room open. But if anyone has any questions or comments or anything, no? Maybe yeah. in the chat room. I don't know how that thing works. Well, if you had any questions, please leave them in the KemeTones RecAb study group or the event page for this webinar. Or you could email me at cosmic@tchiya.com, and we will go into the meditation. Let's see, get that music. Yeah. Let me see that music. All right, so I invite you to get into a comfortable seated position, either seated on the floor with your legs crossed or in a chair with your back firmly planted on the ground. In either case, be sure to keep your back straight, your shoulders squarely above your hips. We're going to begin by taking a few deep breaths together. Inhale, slow and deep. Allow the abdomen to fill with fresh seconds, fresh prana. Inhale up to the lungs, filling yourself like a balloon, all the way up to the crown chakra. Hold it for a moment. And exhale, releasing and expelling all the toxins from your body. Your abdominal area collapses, almost touching your spine. Another deep inhalation in. Again, allow your body to feel like a balloon with fresh energy, fresh prana, fresh thoughts. And exhale, releasing all the toxins and manifesting pure light. If you haven't already done so, gently close your eyes. Turn to normal breathing. I invite you to visualize in your mind's eye to see yourself seated by the ocean. It's almost the time of sunset, right before sunset. The sky is so beautiful. The clouds are so many different colors, and it's such a peaceful scene. The ocean waves are gently coming in and going out, in and out, just like you're breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale, exhale. It seems as if they're in sync. As you inhale, the waves roll in, and as you exhale, the waves roll out. Now I invite you to see yourself sitting there by the ocean, the waves coming in, the waves coming out. You're inhaling, breathing in and breathing out. And in your mind's eye, I want you to visualize a scene that may have taken place in your lifetime, one of your lifetimes, the lifetimes of one of your ancestors. I invite you to visualize a scene from the time of slavery days. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that comes to my mind is the auction block. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. As you inhale, we're releasing any attachment to this scene in our mind. And as we exhale, we're planting the seeds for the scenes we want to create. As we inhale, we're detached from the memory of the suffering. And as we exhale, we're creating a new vision. Inhale and exhale. As we inhale, we're releasing anger and frustration. And as we exhale, we're manifesting what it is we wish to create, what's in our hearts, the hearts of our ancestors, the desires of our ancestors. With each exhalation, inhale, letting go of attachment. Exhale, manifesting our heart's desire. Now, I want you to focus on that scene from the time of our past. And I want you to visualize a feather of Ma'at slowly coming down from the sky, spiraling down, 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 till it lands at the feet of the person being auctioned. Inhale, and as you exhale, another feather spirals down, down, down. With each exhalation, more feathers of Ma'at are spiraling down until the whole area is covered with feathers of Ma'at, feathers of justice, feathers of truth, feathers of balance, harmony, righteousness, order, reciprocity. The entire area is covered in feathers. On your next inhalation, visualize the individuals that are being sold rising up, because their hearts have been purified by the feathers. And you just keep rising up and up and up until we have all ascended. We've all ascended. We've all transcended.
But that's the man texted me for tomorrow. So just show me the one. The one 79 Heath Court. 2,131 square feet, $2,600 a month. You can show me all the way, man. Show me. I'm interested in that one. The 21, sitting one, 2006.
Oh, my.
We're going to find the time for going to register.
Slowly return to normal body consciousness. Wiggle your fingers and toes if you need to. Return to normal breathing. Slowly open your eyes. Bask in the energy of the new moon. I want to thank you again for joining me tonight. And I will be here next week at the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific. And if you have any questions, you can join me in the discussion group on Facebook or send me an email at cosmic@tchiya.com. Once again, thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you soon, either online or at the Sound Healing Temple here in Pueblo. Watch out.
Love.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.